What do you think of feminists?
I don't like them. A quality man is not going to marry an OnlyFans girl. The guy says like, oh, you look like a blow-up doll. I'm like, how does it feel to know that my plastic surgeries cost more than your vehicle?
All right, welcome back to the Digital Social Hour. I'm your host, Sean Kelly, along with my co-host, Charlie Cavalier, and our guest today, Tori Herman. How we doing?
Hello, doing wonderful. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Is this your first time?
On your podcast, yes.
Okay.
I've done a couple.
Okay, cool. So let's dive into it. Let's hear what you do.
I am, oh my gosh, I don't want to say a TikToker because I'm a little too old for that. But I'm a comedian, but I mostly do my stuff on TikTok.
Right.
TikTok, Instagram, and I'm starting YouTube now. But we'll do a couple of shows in 2023, hopefully.
Right. And I've seen your TikToks that get millions of views.
Yay.
So walk me through the process behind creating a viral TikTok.
Okay, so mine are easy because I'm basically hating on the easiest person to hate in 2023, a man. A straight man.
It's probably thanks to Tate and a few others.
Yeah, somebody called me a female Tate, which is really funny because I usually joke about not all men, but just mostly men that are trying to beat the traditional values in a relationship. So men that are trying to be like 50-50, split bills and split rent with their wives. It's like so crazy to me coming from Russia, where everything is very traditional. Wife stays home and takes care of the house, and the man goes and makes money and provides for the family. So when I see here somebody trying to split Starbucks bill, to me it's like, what the hell is going on? Can I swear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Say whatever the you want.
I love that.
Have you ever been on a date where the man wanted to split the bill?
Yeah. It was actually a very long time ago. I think like 10 years ago. We went on a breakfast date, and it was one of the only times when I actually complained because the food wasn't good. So anyway, they took my portion of the food off the bill, and basically I just had coffee. Then the bill comes, the guy grabs it, and then he looks at me and he's like, would you like to split mine?
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, that is insane.
You should have just said, I already took care of my half. I don't know what this, yeah.
I know, I'm like, but I have never been offered to even split a bill, ever in my life. And
So you
that
got
was
offended.
the first time. Oh my gosh, of course.
Did you pay?
No. I just can't. It's against my values.
Okay.
I feel like it's less awkward to just pay the bill than ask somebody to split the bill.
Right.
Yeah, especially
Yeah, it's
if
more
it's
awkward
like,
to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very weird way
I
of
feel
doing it.
super
I know.
awkward about asking, for sure.
You know, it's interesting. So what is the worst part about being I don't know if you like the term influencer, but what is the worst part about being a female influencer?
The worst part. Actually, there's no really like bad things about it, but sometimes I just get so much hate, especially for the things that I do, and coming from men. And a lot of men, they don't really know how to express their opinion and argue with me on certain things that I'm posting, and they just like say really weird things like, you're ugly, you're a blow-up doll, your lips look ugly, and I'm like, this it's like has nothing to do with my comedy.
Right.
How are you, just offending the way I
Yeah.
look? So I guess that's like the downside of it. But
So
I don't
how do
care
you
much.
how do you deal with these haters on social media? Are you replying to them? Are you ignoring them?
So I actually, when I first started, I would get so upset and I would cry and I would feel like I'm being bullied. Now I literally take that and turn it into more content. So I take their comments or their messages and they reply in a funny way, or I actually make a video responding to them. And for example, like, I make fun of how they look or whatever. If the guy says like, oh, you look like a blow-up doll, I'm like, okay, let's see what you look like. And then he's like posing with a dead fish in front of like
One of those fat fishermen guys.
yeah, like one of those, right? And then
Yeah.
with like a $5,000 car
Right.
in the background. And I'm like, how does it feel to know that my plastic surgeries that you don't like apparently cost more than your vehicle? So
Wait, they
stuff
cost
like
that much?
Well, I mean, it's been a few years of investing into a couple of things.
Yeah, I never knew how much those cost, those surgeries.
I don't either, and I'm scared of surgery in general. Yeah. So, like, I'm scared of the doctor. So, if I can avoid anything at all costs, I'm up for that.
I made a promise to myself when I was a kid in 4th grade that I would never get surgery unless I needed to. Because I'm that scared of it.
Yeah.
Like, do they knock you out when you're getting these? Like
anesthesia and stuff.
I'm supposed to get my wisdom teeth out for like 10 years, and I'm too scared. Like,
Sean.
Yeah. No, it's really bad. Like, they're at the point now where I have fangs because they just keep growing out until they touch something.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You kind of seem like you really need to get that done.
Yeah, I'll grab some pliers. We can do it right now on the podcast.
No, man.
Okay.
They're through my gums.
Okay.
So they're all penetrated.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's bad.
So when you're making original comedic content, right? Are you sitting down? Are you like brainstorming, having a strategy session, or does it just like, are you at the grocery store and something comes to mind and you say, I'm going to make a video about that?
Yeah, so I usually just like write down an idea in my notes if I see something funny or I hear something funny. And then whenever I have time and I get the inspiration and, time to write it down, then I just like sit down, take an idea, and I try to turn it into an actual skit. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes I actually spend like a whole day recording a video. I edit it. I look at it and I'm like, I fucking hate it. I'm not going to post it. So funny. I have like maybe 5,000 drafts of different videos that I'm probably never going to post. I think it's the ADD.
Could be. One thing that really fascinated me about you is you started a matchmaking agency, but it's very unique because you don't allow OnlyFans girls or former adult actresses.
Yeah.
Why did you go that route?
Okay, so I've had a couple of people, actual friends of mine, men, that told me really crazy stories of their dating life. A friend of mine, very successful millionaire, has houses in different places, travels all the time, looking for a wife. And he's in his early 40s. And I said, well, you have everything going on for you. Why can't you find a woman to marry? And he's like, because my last relationship, and that's not the only one that happened to him, he was dating a girl for 4 months, ready to move her in. And then suddenly she's like, okay, well, I have to tell you something. 4 months in. She's like, I was in 400 different porn movies.
Oh, my gosh.
Yo.
And he was like...
Red flag.
How? Red flag? That's like a very burgundy one. Yeah. He's like, how do you not say this on a first date? That's like a very important thing that you mentioned. Just like if you switched your gender, if you were like a female before and then you became a man, I think it's very important that that's something you have to let your potential partner know on a very first date. It has to probably be like, hey, how are you? By the way, I used to be a woman. Yeah,
it's got to be one of the first few dates, I think.
Yeah, like you have
some guys
to.
Wouldn't be cool and some girls probably wouldn't be cool.
No.
Exactly. So because a lot of women got into OnlyFans thinking that it's like an easy money, and a lot of men that are ready, they can like fuck around with these girls, but then when they're ready to marry, they don't want a girl that has been selling her asshole for $3 online. Sorry. You said I can swear.
Yep.
So a lot of them actually have that problem, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I should start a matchmaking agency and maybe do background checks on the girls before matching them with men that are actually marriage minded. So that was the whole idea. It wasn't just one story that this guy told me. He's, flown girls from like Russia, Ukraine, other countries, and same thing happening. Like, and he's like, "Why am I wasting so much time trying to date these girls?"
Right.
And then at the end, I have to basically spend more time trying to find another one, and it takes so much time, which basically most of wealthy men don't have. So that's how the idea was born, and we started Bidor, which is our matchmaking agency. We do a whole background check, adult industry check, and stuff like this before a girl gets listed on the website.
Charlie, it sounds like you would like this website.
Yeah,
we can definitely help you.
I have previously dated an OnlyFans girl, and I was actually going to ask, where is the hesitancy coming from for people to admit that on the first, second, third date? Why did it take that specific person 4 months to finally come clean about their past? Is it an embarrassment? Is it fear of having the conversation? What do you think from a female perspective?
So I think most girls, when they start doing the OnlyFans or any other stuff like this, they don't recognize the impact that it's going to have on their life and future.
Forever.
Forever. Yes, you can take some videos down. Yes, you can change your handle. But at some point, after they're done with OnlyFans and adult industry, they want a quality man. Here's the problem. A quality man is not going to marry an OnlyFans girl. It's just, I mean, there are rare cases, and I'm not judging anybody, you know, God bless. But in most cases, men that are marriage-minded and they want, you know, a woman to marry and have children with, they don't want somebody whose vagina is all over the internet. So that's where this whole thing comes in, where a girl is like, oh my gosh, I met a high quality man. Sorry. I met a high quality man, and now he's into me and I don't want to push him away. So that's when they try to hide it for a certain amount of time, but then eventually it's going to come out anyways, whether he's going to find out, or she has to tell him.
Yeah.
So
what is the Sexy Puma Club? I gotta hear about this, because from what I saw, it was a bunch of girls that do not like guys. But I'd love to hear what it is in your words.
You know, it's just crazy. Internet is insane.
Yeah.
So I started basically calling my followers sexy pumas. I have like 95% female followers, so I'm not even like paying attention to the guys.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, sexy pumas, how was your day? And then people started recognizing me on the street and they would scream, sexy puma!
Oh my.
So I'm like, okay, I have to turn this into something. So I created Sexy Puma Club, which is basically a club for women where we do like happy hours, like virtual happy hours, and we do meetups, and they get to basically get discounts on my products. They pay membership fees and stuff like this.
Okay.
It's a very, very selected club, and it's basically like fraternity for women.
What do you think of feminists?
I don't like them.
Really?
Okay, so here's the thing. Feminism really is taken to the whole next level, where women are trying to, they're trying to become men, but then they want a real man that is manly enough for them. So it's like, that doesn't really make sense, because the woman is like, okay, I want to be a feminist, I want to be equal to men, I want to get manly jobs and stuff, but then, you know, then the roles are kind of shifting, because then now men, I'm actually going to tell you a funny story. We were at the bar with my husband and his friend, and we were trying to get a drink, and this girl was sitting at the bar, and we kind of just like squeezed through her, and my husband almost like not pushed her, but he you know, he just kind of like squeezed in to get a drink, and as a thank you for letting us through, he's like, hey, can I buy you a drink? She got offended, and she was like, you think I can't buy a drink for myself? And I'm like, oh my gosh, if anybody is like buying me a drink, I'm like, please buy me 10.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead. But that's where feminism now is. Girls are so confused. They're like, okay, I want the equality. Great, sure. But then they take it to a whole next level, which now men don't even know if it's okay to open a car door for a woman. Or is she going to get offended if he offers to buy her a drink? So, and girls also have no idea if this is what they should do, because this is what TikTok is telling them to do. And all the influencers like Julia Fox and stuff, she's just like being obsessed with hating men to a point where she's like, girls, you have to dye your eyebrows blonde so you look horrible and you're a repellent, and that is a repellent to men. I'm like,
Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah, there's levels to it for sure.
Yeah.
There is, and it's getting more and more outlandish, if you will, right? As a straight white guy, right? Nobody wants to hear me talk about feminist issues unless I'm just sitting here nodding my head agreeing, right? Like, nobody wants to hear me talk about much anything because I'm a straight white guy.
Yeah.
How did we get here? Because like you said, right, I'm not scared to offer to buy somebody a drink, but there definitely is a second thought whenever I do something that would normally be a more traditional approach, which is what I believe in. And now I feel that you're getting in trouble for doing what 10 years ago was proper and polite.
Yeah. So I think it's at a whole bigger level than just people being influenced into being feminists and stuff like this. I think it's to separate the family as a unity, because if I have a husband and we have kids and we have a house, we are stronger than a person that is single, confused about their gender, confused about their beliefs, and watching TikTok where Julia Fox is literally telling that it's okay to kill men. She did this video and I was like, excuse me? It wasn't just a TikTok. She did a video on somebody's podcast, and she was like, it's okay to kill straight men because they have a penis. So if Andrew Tate said anything similar, even like a fraction of what she said, he's in jail now, so
Well,
I
yeah.
guess
They got him.
I guess they got him for basically saying that a man should be the provider. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get so much hate for supporting him now.
You are.
It's okay.
So you don't hate all men. You just hate certain men.
So here's the thing. I don't really hate men. I mean, I have a wonderful husband, but I'm trying to explain to girls that being with an abuser is not cool. Men that are telling you that splitting things 50-50 is cool. No, it's not cool. Like things like this,
Right.
So I'm not necessarily, but I'm trying to put it into a comedy format, because then younger girls that watch me, they're like, okay, this is funny and she makes sense. I'm going to watch this.
Right.
But if I would do like a whole lecture on like, why you should not be with an abuser, it's boring to watch.
Yeah.
So teenagers, they have like a very short lifespan.
Yep.
My gosh.
Attention
Attention
span.
Attention
Yeah.
span.
That's funny.
Please cut that part.
Apparently we're being hunted to be murdered though, so maybe we have a short lifespan
What do you mean?
because Julia Fox is calling
Oh,
for
Julia.
for straight.
Yeah.
That makes no sense because gay guys have dicks too.
That's true.
So I was confused
true.
about that comment.
Well, I'll send you the video. It's kind of crazy. Her logic is that men rape, and that is why they should be killed.
Woman too though.
I know. I mean, like it's just there's zero logic in the whole thing. But
fair. All right. So you've lived in Russia, Canada, United States. There was one more.
Estonia. That's where my mom originally from.
Okay. What's been your favorite spot?
Oof, that's very hard to say. I really love California, but very certain part of it where I live, Orange County.
Right.
Just because it's less hectic and more fun and very nice and quiet. We're close to the water, so I can go to the beach at any time. But I did live in Vancouver for 15 years, and I kind of feel like it's my home, even though I do like the weather here more. So.
Yeah, it's cold there.
It's not really cold. It just rains all the time.
Oh, it rains.
It's
Okay.
like
A lot, right? Like 300 days a year.
300
Yeah.
days a year.
What?
Probably more than that, honestly. Even
That's
like
too
summer.
much.
Yeah, it's insane. But you know what? You kind of get used to it, and then you spend some time traveling. So whenever it's like winter time, I just take off. I would take off. And now I'm full time here.
What is the biggest cultural norm that if you could bring to the United States from Russia, you would?
Definitely traditional values in the family, and definitely, marriage is a norm in Russia. It's like here people are like, oh, I'm not gonna get married ever. I'm just gonna have like 3 baby daddies, or people don't really look at marriage as something essential. So that is definitely something I would implement from Russia, because in Russia, when you're like 20, you start looking for a husband.
Oh, that early?
It is. Well, it's getting better now. But when I was living there, I left when I was 15. But when I lived in Russia, basically after you graduate university, which is around 20, you start kind of like getting in a serious relationship. And here's the thing: people in Russia don't date. People in Russia date to marry. So it's like we don't really have like 20 boyfriends before we actually do get married. We have like 1 or 2 maybe, and then
I like that.
Yeah.
it has to basically, whenever we date, it has to be leading to a marriage. Otherwise, there's no point.
Yeah.
I don't see a reason to date other than leading towards something like real and long term.
Right. People make fun of the Western culture dating, the Western dating culture. Like they just say it's crazy.
It is, and meanwhile, we're running around pretending that we're like the champions of whatever cultural cause people are taking up at the time.
Yeah. It's very interesting to me to see how people are dating, especially here in America.
Yeah.
It's insanity. I actually just posted video about that. If dating was honest.
I mean, it's crazy. What are your thoughts on like open relationships?
It's insanity to me. I just, as I said, I think because my parents have been married, they knew each other ever since they were 15, and then they got married when they were like 20, and they've been together ever since, like 35 years now or something. So I just don't understand why even dating or being in a relationship if you're still fucking around. That it like never made sense to me.
Yeah.
Then just be single and do your things, whatever you want.
I feel that. How can a woman attract a high value man?
Enter Sexy Puma Club. No. Just basically be somebody who you want to date. So if you want today a high value man, be a high value woman. I see a lot of women that reach out to me and they're like, hey, where do I find a high value man? And I'm like, let's see what you bring to the table. And then we see a girl that doesn't have a job, that has 2 kids from 2 different daddies, that has no education and is not willing to get anywhere in life, that makes no money and lives off OnlyFans. I'm like, why would a high value man want you?
Yeah.
There are cases of love, of course, when people just like meet and madly fall in love and they're like, oh, I'm going to be with you regardless of what, you're doing. But in most cases, when people meet and they see somebody who is not at their level, they don't want that person, no matter how good looking they are or, if they even do have some sort of affection and stuff. It's just not going to work long term because, when levels are too far apart, you can't. Even your mindset is different because one person is constantly in a survival mode when she's like, oh, I need like $1,000 to pay my rent and I need to find it.
Right.
When a high value man is like, where am I traveling to next? Which is the next yacht I'm buying?
Right.
Stuff like this.
I don't
which
like
is like
boats.
the next. Me neither. I get so sick on them.
You wouldn't go on a cruise?
Sean tried to get me to go on a cruise. I'm gonna do it. I've committed because he's one of my best friends. Why don't you like boats? I don't like the gravity. I can't feel gravity underneath me.
So what kind of cruise? Like a big?
Yes.
Big cruise, 3,000 people.
That's for old people.
We're old souls.
You're so introverted, just like me. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
There was a lot of families when I went, actually.
Yeah.
There are cruise lines that are older, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like boats for 2 reasons. Number 1, I don't like the gravity. I just get seasick all the time. Number 2, I don't like somebody operating a boat where I have no way to leave. So in Vancouver, there is a huge boat community and people party all the time. So during summertime, it's like everybody goes on everybody's boats. They do tie-ups, they do boat parties and stuff like this. And I was on one. We almost died because the guy was like so high on drugs, so drunk, and he was the only one. I have no idea how to operate the boat. I mean, I can probably figure it out, but I'll be stressed as hell.
Yeah.
So I was like stuck on that boat and it was very stormy and I was basically thinking we're gonna die.
Yeah.
That's why I can't have somebody else being in control of my life
Right.
while I can't leave. Like,
Right. You probably don't like flying either.
I don't mind flying because chances of pilots, captains being wasted are like, unless they're in Russia. I'm kidding. But chances of them being drunk or high are probably like 0. I
Okay.
hope. I don't know. But when you go on a boat party, most probably the guy that's driving the boat is
Right.
gonna
That's when all the boating accidents happen, when they're drunk.
do something and
Yeah.
stuff. So I don't know. I'm not sure about boats.
So personal advice for all of the straight guys out there who are getting the hate in 2023. What is your advice to them to navigate these treacherous waters that we're in?
My gosh, just always be a gentleman and stick to your values and be a high value man, because world is really changing now, because sex used to be such a hard thing to get. Now it's the easiest thing to get. But everything kind of revolves and turns around. So I have a feeling that it's going to go back to where women are going to be more into being modest,
Yeah.
So if you're a high value man, just focus on yourself, do your things, become the best version of yourself, and eventually you are going to meet those high value women. They exist. They are always going to be existing. It's just because you don't see their buttholes on internet.
They're all in the Sexy Puma Club.
They're all in Sexy Puma Club.
You ran away from home at 15. Can you explain what happened?
So okay. I've always wanted to live abroad. That was the whole idea. But the main thing that led to it, I had very bad relationships with my dad. And the reason for that, my dad is overly protective person, which makes sense in Russia, honestly, because I got robbed when I was 14. Girls actually, not even guys, ran up to me, like 3 girls, and ripped earrings off my ears.
Wow.
So I still have like rupture and stuff. But he wouldn't let me go out. I was not allowed to have a boyfriend. I was going to like a girls' school. I was not allowed to wear short skirts and this and that. So when I was a teenager, I started protesting against that, and we started fighting a lot. And eventually, everybody decided in the family that it would be best if my dad and I are separated. So I went to Canada, and the whole point was that I'm going to only study for a year and then go back. That was the deal I made with my dad. He wanted me to get married right after school. So when I was like, let's say 17 or something. So he said, okay, you go to Canada, go to school. We have a good guy for you. You come back in a year or year and a half, and then you do the marriage, and we get you to university here and job and stuff like this. So I went to Canada, and literally the moment I went to downtown Toronto and I looked around, and I was like, I'm never fucking leaving. I'm not going back to Russia. There is no way. Especially I'm from a very small, tiny town in Russia, which has nothing, basically, like no high rises, no cool places. And then when I saw the Toronto, all, basically that looks like a New York in a way, right? It's like so cool. I'm like, I'm not going back. So then I told my dad, and my dad cut me off financially. So he basically stopped giving me money, and I had to work 3 jobs. I went to university, and I was still the happiest person ever, because I was like, as long as I'm not in my town and not married to some guy that I have never met in my life, just because my dad thinks that he's a good boy, I'm going to be great.
Wow. So he wanted you to have an arranged marriage, basically?
Yeah, most people, or I should say most successful people in Russia do that. It's not like an arranged marriage where you don't see the person before like your wedding day or something. It's more like 2 wealthy families get together, and they're like, okay, we have a boy, you have a girl.
Interesting.
We're just going to put them together.
And that's very traditional. I mean, 2 powerful families want to strengthen the power of their families, so you basically make an alliance with somebody else.
Right. Yeah, my grandparents were arranged.
Yeah. And it works in most cases, or maybe it doesn't anymore. I have no idea, but I did not want that.
What's the divorce rate in Russia? Is it as high as the U.S.?
There's no divorce in Russia.
Oh,
so,
really?
First of all, it's a very expensive procedure to go through. So most people, they don't divorce even if they're no longer kind of in love with each other. They just live together, maybe they like don't sleep together. But, I'm sure it's a very, very low rate.
Yeah, it's like 50 in the U.S., right?
Yeah, it's horrible in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's like 50%. I
So
think
you're
it's
flipping a coin when you
Yeah,
get
I mean,
married.
it's cheaper to get divorced than married.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, look at Las Vegas. People get married there like every 15
And
minutes.
yeah.
Just like,
Although we heard a story about 42 days and it worked out for you.
yeah, it did. Yes, it somehow did. But mind you, the 42 days really was from the moment we actually met in person. But we've been talking for quite some time before, and we would talk like almost every day.
Awesome.
So this is actually very coincidental. I had a meeting with somebody who's in Moscow this morning, and we have a standing invitation to go to Russia whenever we want. They're going to show us around. We hear everything on the news, politics, everything. What is it like for an American to go to Russia right now?
Ooh.
You know, here's the thing. There are crazy people everywhere, right? So for most part, especially if you're with somebody who speaks Russian, you're safe.
Okay.
Especially if you're in Moscow. You would be more in danger if you go to a small place, like where I was born, because people there are a little bit less educated. And there are no foreigners from where I'm from. Moscow now is very multicultural. We have people from everywhere. We have people from China. We have people from Canada. We have one of the biggest international universities in Moscow, where you meet people of all different ethnicities, all different nationalities. So you are safe going there with somebody who does speak Russian. I wouldn't recommend going there if you're just by yourself and you don't know anybody and you don't speak Russian, because most people do not speak English. So you are going to have problem. But Moscow is beautiful. If you go, please go to White Rabbit restaurant. It's
Okay.
I think 2 Michelin star restaurant.
Whoa.
It's incredible.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
We might have to go to Russia.
I'm down.
Go, it's fine. And
right.
flights now are cheaper.
We got to wrap this up, but what are you working on next, and where can people find you?
I am Tori Herman everywhere. TorryHerman. Mostly active on TikTok and Instagram. You also can find everything that I do on my website, www.torryherman.com. My next big thing that I'm working on is basically my matchmaking agency. It just started a week ago, literally, and we're going to be expanding more in the next few months. So
Nice.
if you are looking for a high-value man, please go to my website and we'll match you up.
You heard it here, guys. If you are not an OnlyFans creator, sign up to that website. Otherwise, Digital Social Hour, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys next week.